that they erased from history never truly disappeared.
The Second World War is a conflict we think we know. Its history is carved into stone monuments, documented in millions of pages of official records, and seared into our collective memory through iconic photographs and films. We know the grand strategies, the turning points of great battles, the names of the generals who moved armies like chess pieces across the globe. But this official history, as complete as it seems, is built upon a foundation riddled with shadows. Beneath the well-lit stage of conventional warfare lies another, hidden battlefield. A landscape of bizarre accidents, baffling decisions, and mysteries so profound they defy explanation to this day. This is a journey into that twilight zone of the war. We will not be visiting the famous front lines, but the strange peripheries where logic breaks down and fate takes an ironic turn. It's a world where the second most powerful man in a totalitarian empire flies solo to his enemy on a deluded peace mission, where a magnificent ocean liner is destroyed not by a torpedo, but by a single careless spark, and where the most celebrated heroes can simply vanish into thin air. These stories are the war's ghost stories, tales of what-ifs and why-nots that haunt the official record. They reveal a conflict far stranger, more chaotic, and more deeply human than the history books often allow. So, what really happened in the war's darkest corners? If you enjoy deep dives into history's greatest enigmas, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our future investigations. To understand the sheer shock of May 10th, 1941, you first have to understand Rudolf Hess. He was not just another high-ranking Nazi, he was one of the originals. An early and fanatical devotee, he had been with Adolf Hitler from the very beginning, marching alongside him in the failed beer hall putsch of 1923, and later taking dictation for Mein Kampf while they were imprisoned together. Hitler rewarded this loyalty by making him Deputy Führer, officially the second man in the command structure of the Third Reich. He was the conscience of the party, a gatekeeper to Hitler, though by 1941, his actual power was being eroded by more ruthless figures like Martin Bormann and Heinrich Himmler. Hess was also a man of peculiar beliefs. He was deeply invested in astrology, herbal remedies, and mysticism, often seeking advice from unconventional sources. This growing eccentricity had sidelined him from the serious business of running the war, leaving him increasingly desperate to prove his relevance and restore his standing with the Führer. He became obsessed with an idea, brokering a peace deal with Great Britain. He believed against all evidence that a powerful peace party existed within the British aristocracy, one that would oust Winston Churchill if only given the right incentive. As Germany secretly prepared for Operation Barbarossa, the monumental invasion of the Soviet Union, Hess saw his chance. A peace with Britain would secure Germany's Western Front, allowing Hitler to focus all his might on the East. It would be his ultimate gift to his Führer. So, on that May evening, the 47-year-old Deputy Führer, a man who hadn't flown seriously in years, climbed into the cockpit of a specially prepared Messerschmitt Bf-110, a twin-engine fighter bomber. He carried with him maps, charts, and a portfolio of his bizarre peace proposals. Taking off from an airfield near Augsburg, he flew northwest, navigating by landmarks in the fading light, a lone figure on an audacious, unsanctioned, and seemingly insane mission. He was flying towards a destiny he could not possibly have imagined. But was the mission truly his idea alone? After a grueling 5-hour flight, skimming low over the North Sea to evade British radar, Hess reached the coast of Scotland. Running low on fuel and struggling in the darkness, he was forced to bail out just a few miles short of his intended destination. He parachuted down, landing awkwardly in a field near the village of Eaglesham and spraining his ankle. It was there that a local farmer named David McLean, armed with a pitchfork, discovered the downed German pilot. The man initially gave his name as Hauptmann Alfred Horn, but the truth would soon come out, sending shockwaves through the highest levels of the British government. Hess's target had been Dungerville House, the estate of the 14th Duke of Hamilton. Hess was convinced the Duke was his key to peace. He insisted on speaking with him, claiming they had met during the 1936 Berlin Olympics, a claim the Duke later denied. The situation was utterly surreal. The local home guard who had taken Hess into custody were baffled. Here was one of the most wanted men in the world, having practically fallen out of the sky into their laps, calmly asking for a chat with a Scottish nobleman. When the Duke of Hamilton was finally brought in to meet him the next day, the conversation only deepened the confusion. Hess, rambling and at times incoherent, laid out his peace offer. Germany would be granted dominance over continental Europe, and in return it would guarantee the continued existence of the British Empire. It was a fantasy, a non-starter. The Duke, a loyal RAF group captain and friend of Churchill, listened with a mixture of courtesy and astonishment. He realized he was dealing not with a serious diplomatic envoy, but with someone dangerously disconnected from reality. Crucially, Hess admitted from the very beginning that he had come entirely on his own initiative, emphatically denying that Hitler had sent him. In that moment, by renouncing any official backing, Hess unwittingly sealed his fate. He was not an ambassador to be negotiated with. He was simply a very high-profile and very strange prisoner of war. But what did Churchill think of this unexpected gift from the heavens? While Britain was bewildered, Berlin was apoplectic. When the news reached Hitler at his mountain retreat, the Berghof, the reaction was volcanic. His architect, Albert Speer, who was present, described it as an inarticulate, almost animal outcry of rage. Propaganda Minister Joseph Goebbels recorded in his diary the sheer panic that gripped the Nazi leadership. How could they explain to the German people and to their allies like Italy and Japan that the Deputy Führer had defected to the enemy? Hitler's greatest fear was that Churchill would use the incident to sow discord, perhaps by pretending to negotiate with Hess to make Germany's allies believe they were being betrayed. The damage control was immediate and absolute. The official story broadcast across Germany within hours was that Rudolf Hess, a man tragically suffering from a mental disorder, had succumbed to hallucinations. He was portrayed as a deluded idealist who, in a fit of madness, had stolen a plane. The propaganda machine worked overtime to assure the public that Hess had played no part in any important decisions for years, that he was a peripheral figure whose actions were meaningless. His name was to be erased from public life, his titles were stripped, and Martin Bormann swiftly moved to consolidate the power Hess had vacated. Privately, Hitler was livid, ordering the Luftwaffe to try and shoot down Hess's plane, though it was far too late. This official narrative of the madman served both sides. For Germany, it explained away an embarrassing defection and a catastrophic security breach. For Britain, treating Hess as mentally unstable allowed them to dismiss his peace offers without dignifying them and to hold him as a prisoner rather than an envoy. Prime Minister Winston Churchill, in his own writings, leaned into this interpretation, describing Hess's flight as a deed of lunatic benevolence, implying that however misguided, Hess perhaps believed he was doing something good. But if he was so clearly insane, why did British intelligence spend months interrogating him? And why does the question of his true motive refuse to die? Far from being treated as a simple lunatic, Hess became one of Britain's most prized and perplexing prisoners. He was moved between various secure locations, including for a time the Tower of London. Intelligence officers from MI6 and psychological experts were tasked with cracking him open. Was he faking his delusion? Did he possess secret information about Germany's plans, particularly the upcoming invasion of Russia? The interrogations, however, proved deeply frustrating. Hess was erratic, alternating between moments of clarity and long bouts of paranoid depression. He complained of being poisoned, of being tormented by secret rays, and developed a profound hypochondria. His mental state deteriorated. On June 16, 1941, just over a month after his arrival, he attempted suicide by throwing himself down a staircase, surviving with a broken leg. This only solidified the view of many that he was genuinely unhinged, yet the alternate theory that he was a sanctioned messenger has shown remarkable persistence. This theory gained its most significant boost in 2011, with the emergence of a 28-page statement from Karl-Heinz Pinch, Hess's longtime adjutant. Pinch, who gave the testimony while a prisoner of the Soviets, claimed that Hitler not only knew about the mission, but had calmly received the news of Hess's departure. The plan, according to Pinch, was a deniable peace feeler. If Hess failed, Hitler could simply disavow him and call him insane, which is exactly what happened. Most mainstream historians treat this testimony with extreme caution. It was obtained under duress, potentially torture, and the Soviets had every reason to promote a narrative of collusion between the Nazis and British aristocrats. Furthermore, it contradicts the eyewitness accounts of Hitler's genuine fury. Yet the paradox remains. Hess was tried at Nuremberg, where he feigned amnesia for months before suddenly recovering. He was sentenced to life in prison and became the sole inmate of Berlin's Spandau prison for 2 decades, a living symbol of a defeated regime. He died there in 1987, an apparent suicide at age 93, a death that itself spawned another wave of conspiracy theories. To the very end, he never gave a clear, consistent explanation for his flight. Was he a disturbed man driven by delusion, a loyal soldier on a mission so secret it required his complete sacrifice, or perhaps most unsettlingly, a little bit of both? Before she was a casualty of war, she was a masterpiece of peace.
Thank you for watching. And if you want the Project Redacted to expose the darkest secrets they tried to bury, subscribe now, because the truth doesn't hide itself. Powerful people hide it, and we're here to bring it to light.